All right, 180 on the bar. Let's see how this one moves. One of the things that I like thinking about is the idea of, what is the best case scenario for me in my lifting career? What are the numbers going to be? They're going to be like my best numbers of all time. We can't do this forever. And so there's like a finite amount of time that we have, and we have the privilege of training. Eventually we're going to get older and we're going to slow down. I guess injuries will happen or life will take us in a different direction. But I often think about, what's my best squat going to be? What's my best deadlift going to be? And so on and so on. I have set some goals, a few years ago. Now, I don't know if these goals are going to be reachable for me. I certainly hope so. And I'll tell you what these goals are. And I encourage you guys to tell me what your goals are. Because I think it's an interesting thing to reverse engineer your training plan. If say your best squat is going to be 100 kilos by the time you're all said and done, what sort of increments year by year are you going to be happy with? So in my case, I said 100 kilos, but that's obviously doable for like 99% of the population. But for me, my all-time best squat that I always wanted to hit was 250 kilos. Now I realize it's not something overly impressive in the grand scheme of things. When you consider how long I've been training and how long people often train, in their 20s and 30s and even 40s. But like 250 kilos for me was always like, man, like if I can hit that, then I can call myself kind of like elite in my own mind, although it's nowhere near the elite level that, some people, are squatting nowadays. So 250 squat, I would like to hit a 300 kilo deadlift and 180 kilo bench press. Now these numbers are far away from where I am right now. Right now, I've got a 195 kilo squat, as I tested the other day. That was my best squat of all time. I've got a 220 kilo deadlift that I recorded middle of last year. And the best bench press that I've ever done is 130 kilos. So those are my figures, and they're not anything, spectacular. I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. It'll be interesting to see what you guys would consider your best case scenario in your lifting career. Because I often have a degree of anxiety about achieving my goals and achieving, year to year kind of progress. For instance, last year I wasn't happy with my progress. I made some progress in certain areas and I learned a whole lot in the process of failing. But there's a degree of anxiety that I have when it comes to training, right? Like, I've invested a lot of time, a lot of energy into this. I read a lot about it, watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I try to educate myself the best I can. And there's a lot of different philosophies and training regimens and whatnot. So it's kind of really hard to kind of work out what's what in all of this. But at the end of the day, like, you want to progress. And, I'm 31 years old now. My lifts are, not that impressive. There are 20-year-olds that are doing a lot better, 18-year-olds that are doing a lot better. I was a late bloomer. I started, training for strength at 25, after, maybe 4 or 5 years of, bodybuilding and not really caring about strength, just, looking good and whatever. So I'm 31, these are my lifts. There's a degree of anxiety about the whole, what's the best number going to be for me. It would be interesting to see what you guys have to say about that. Like, do you guys think about that? Do you just lift, without any, goal in sight, and whatever you get, or do you actually guys have like a goal that you want to hit? And the other question is that what would you guys give up for that goal? Obviously, the first thing I think about is body mass. I think we all know that getting bigger, not necessarily muscular, just getting fatter, for the lack of a better word, tends to make you more stronger. Would you guys consider doing that, to get to some of these goals that, we're talking about? So those are the 3 lifts that the powerlifting sport records. But the other thing I've always kind of wanted to do is 100 push-ups in one set. And I've always wanted to do 30 pull-ups in one set. So, and I realized those two, those two goals are completely opposite to the first, the squat, bench, and deadlifts, because the lighter you are with the push-up and the pull-up, the easier it's going to be. Whereas, generally speaking, the heavier you get with the deadlift and the bench and the squat, the better you're going to be. So it's kind of like opposite spectrums. But anyway, I think about it quite frequently about, what if, I never reached these goals, The fun for me when it comes to training is working it out, applying the scientific method. I get quite a lot of joy, introducing an exercise and seeing the effects it has on my body, and then how that translates to the bar. And then, controlling other variables, not introducing too many things at once. So for me, when I the kick that I get out of training is when I kind of find out, when I get onto something, when I hit the glutes for a little bit and that improves my squat, or I hit the hamstrings and that improves my squat. So that's what the fun for me is. But in all of this, I think I want to get better. I want to get stronger, and I'm 31, right? And if you're going to be a world record holder, by 31 you should be pushing a lot better numbers, obviously. And then even if I was to work it out, if I just had like the grand plan, if I work it all out tomorrow for my body, I know exactly what I have to do. If I do everything perfectly, can I really become that much stronger in such a short period of time that I become a world record holder at 35? So some of these ideas always kind of circulate in my mind. It'll be interesting what you guys have to say about your goals. So let me know. Like, I think it's an interesting thing. Do you guys actually think about this, or do you just train for the sake of training and whatever? It'll be interesting to see. Maybe some of you guys have lofty goals. It'll be interesting to see whether some of you guys are interested in deadlifting 800-900 pounds, something like that. It'd be really, really cool to see that and to actually talk about that, because the moment you say I want to be a world champion, then it kind of holds you accountable for what you're doing right now. If you want to be a world record holder in the squat, squatting once a week, with 3 sets of 10, is that going to be enough? It just holds you accountable. Like, if you have a goal and you're not doing the things required to get to that goal, then it kind of checks you out. It's almost like you feel embarrassed in front of your own self, to say, I want to be able to squat 300 kilos, but I squat once a month. So anyway, I think it's a healthy exercise, a healthy mental exercise, to think about your goals, and then, reverse engineering what you have to do to get to those goals. Anyway, let me know in the comments, guys. I think it's a cool topic, and cheers, guys.